Okay, everybody, we'll start our council meeting. Welcome to members of the public, welcome to the member of the press, and welcome to our staff. Welcome to our council meeting, Monday the 20th of April. Attendance, we have one apology from Councillor McCullough. Table of contents, 5.3.3 is being taken out, it's been withdrawn from the table of contents. Other than that, it's as is.
Oh, and we'll hold over the streetscape one.
Yes, we'll hold over the streetscape discussion until after our meal break. After a meal break or after the planning?
After public question time.
Yes, after public. Make sure it's after public question time. Yeah. Yep. Acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge and pay our respects to the Tasmanian Aboriginal community as the traditional and original owners and continuing custodians of this land on which we gather today, and acknowledge elders past and present. Declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest from any councillors? No, that's fine. Confirmation of our minutes from the ordinary meeting from the 16th of March with two amendments are in the recommendation. Under public question time, the word on attendance has been corrected to read in attendance, and item 11.1 needed some minor adjustments. So move around to seconder, please. Councillor Goss.
Excuse me, just before we
yes,
go on,
yes.
do you need to know what the minor adjustments
Okay, yep.
11.1?
The title and report contained an error in the permit number. While the title referred to the correct number, planning 250207, the permit number recorded in the file number and recommendation was incorrect. The permit number has been corrected throughout the minutes to read planning 250207, replacing 250204. It was very minor. And you're seconding the recommendation? All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. The date of the next council meeting will be Monday the 18th of May. We have a couple of motions from councillors. We have one around the variation of the mobile food vendors policy, and the officer's recommendation is that council request the officers to prepare a report including a draft variation to the mobile food vendors policy for consideration at a future council meeting, including the consideration of a second licensing option with alternative operating times and locations. Now, Deputy Mayor Lambert put forward that motion. Do you wish to move a motion?
Yes, I'll move the officer's recommendation, which is basically the same.
Yep. Second. Councillor Terriff seconding. Any discussion, Councillor Lambert?
Look, I think it's fairly self-explanatory in the papers that we're just looking for a variation of the permit to allow dessert-style vans the opportunity to be able to work in a more suitable time frame for their style of business. The people from Swirlicious have actually worked within the 15-minute time frame of the policy, which allows them not to have a licence, but it's really impractical and it's not long enough, so by the time they set up, start serving, it's time to go again, so it's quite impractical. The 4 till 9 p.m. doesn't always work for that style of van, so they've done a little bit of research out in the community. They do a lot of work on social media, advertising where they're going to be and building their customer base that way. And in the papers, I've listed a few examples of places where they said they have trialled this and it's worked really well. People have come, like for example, Seaton Street Park has been quite successful with that being there. So they're just wanting the opportunity to work within their own community. They live in this community, they pay rates in this community. They've spent a significant amount of money refurbishing their van, putting in solar batteries and making it, just bringing it right up to a really modern standard. They want to be able to work in their own community. At the moment, councils all around the Northern Midlands Council have permits that allow them to be able to work within the hours that are suitable to them, or suitable to the style of sort of food that they offer. And they just want the opportunity to be able to stay in their own community and work as well. I think it's an opportunity for us to review the policy and to look at what our cousins in other councils are doing, and to perhaps look at where we might be able to improve. And that's what we're always looking for. We've had some people who want to work in our community can see where there's an improvement, or they see where there's an improvement which would allow businesses like theirs to be able to work. They are ratepayers, they're small business owners, so they abide by the same health and safety regulations that any food business would have to abide by. They're not out to close businesses down or bricks and mortar businesses or anything like that. They're out there to create a balance. And we all know food vans are a part of our lifestyle now. They're here to stay. Any Friday night you'll go down to, down here to the park or Perth or other communities, and there's more often than not a food van there. So it's part of our culture. And as I said, these people have been out, they've done the research, they've found that there is a way that it could work for them and groups like them. As I said, they're not trying to take other people's business, they're trying to complement and create a balance. Council back in, was it 23 or 2024, we did a variation of our policy for a food van at Avoca, and they came to us for that same reason, to be able to work in a community that didn't have a coffee van. And the motion got passed, and what it actually has done has created quite a successful business in that area of Avoca. It's been so successful, and I'm really pleased that it did get passed in there, because it was so successful that they've now decided that they want to expand, and they've moved into a brick and mortar building so they can expand their offerings, their timeframes, etc., etc. So, that precedent has been a really successful one. So what we're asking for here is that we just have get the officers to bring back a draft variation to the policy, looking at some alternatives. And I've listed some of the councils that are already doing it: Meander Valley, Burnie, Devonport, Launceston, of course, all have opportunities for people to get their little bit of time to work for their business. So I hope my fellow councillors will support this, so we can get a draft amendment to come back and we can have a look at it in more detail there. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Terrett.
Thank Councillor Lambert for bringing this, because I think council needs to be able to facilitate small business generally. In saying that, we also have to be aware of the small business that already exists and that we don't take business away. And I thank Councillor Lambert for raising the importance of keeping small business and those bricks and mortars and the costs that go in running a shop, basically, and the costs associated with that. It's the food licences, it's paying your light bill and so forth. But there is a need for these, and particularly in events and other areas. The Avoca one, I think, was pleased that we passed that one. So I think there is room to amend our policy, but we also must be keeping in mind that those small businesses who may be impacted as a consequence of this.
Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, well, this has come up a fair few times over the years, and I'm a supporter of local businesses, as you probably already know, because I always oppose these food vans. I know they are a part of life, but if we compare in Launceston and Devonport, look at the local shops, the little takeaways that have closed down in Launceston and Devonport. Now, you can go down to Devonport and walk through that mall and there's hardly any of those little shops left. And Launceston is nearly the same. So we've got to be really careful that we don't open this up, because the motion that I've read here, it's nearly open slather with the times that are mentioned here. So, and we're not talking only Longford, we're talking Ross, Campbelltown, Perth, Evandale. those little businesses that put a lot of money into the local community, the local football clubs, local netball clubs, all these little clubs that these local businesses put their money into, we need to be really careful that we don't cut off our nose to spite our face. I've wrote a few points down here, and I'd like to go through a few. Although it's been presented as a solution for a single ice cream vendor, the policy variation would apply to any mobile food business. So we're not only talking about Swirlicious. You know, long gone are the days where Mr. Whippy went around the towns with his music playing and you'd come out and get an ice cream or a sundae. So I don't know why you have to sit it into a specific area and make the people come to them. That creates a much broader impact than what is being suggested here. We have seen in places like Launceston and Devonport, but when trading windows are open too widely, it can lead to market saturation, congestion, and real harm to established local business. Our current policy was designed to strike a balance, giving mobile food vendors opportunities while still protecting the viability of bricks and mortar traders who invest in our towns all year round. This motion risks undermining that balance. There are also practical concerns. The proposal lacks detail of enforcement. Who's going to make sure that these food vendors are complying with the rules and regulations? I haven't seen it yet with the current regulations that we've got, so I can see we're going to have trouble with that. Location limits, maximum stays, how spontaneous. You know, trading would be monitored. Without that clarity, we risk inconsistent application and increasing complaints. It could also attract out-of-area vendors who take advantage of the new time windows, further impacting local operators. Importantly, this motion creates inequity between different types of vendors. Hot food operators rely heavily on the evening trade, and opening new time periods for other vendors could distort the market in ways that we were never intended to do so. I'm not opposed to exploring improvements. In fact, I would support a more balanced approach similar to Meander Valley model, which allows trading between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. And that's all I would support. That framework provides flexibility for spontaneous vendors while still protecting local businesses and avoiding the issues seen in other municipalities. For these reasons, I couldn't support the current motion.
Any further discussion, Councillor Goss?
Yeah, my biggest concern that I saw there was that in the minutes, they talk about Campbelltown, about this business taking up a spot at the pool entrance. That's on the corner of Bridge Road at Campbelltown. That would be less than 500 metres from the little ice cream shop at Campbelltown, and I think that'd be direct competition against that little shop, and the same with other shops if they're in a township. It's going to have really direct competition. I don't know if Longford is an ice cream shop in Longford, but I'm sure that there's plenty of shops on Longford that sell ice creams in Perth. So I do think it might have some conflict there, especially with that little piece of heaven down at Campbelltown. Same side of the road, same time of the day. They're only picking the best time of the day. Little piece of heaven going to be there 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, whatever they are. I just think we need to support some of those businesses. I'll support this to go to officers because that's what it's requested to do. I will support to do that, but I hope the officers really look at it in really good detail and come back for a really good balance so that it protects our current operators and gives them some opportunity as well. But if it doesn't protect our current operators, then I won't be supporting it next time it comes back to council. Thank you.
Councillor Archer.
I'd just like to agree with what Councillor Goss has said. I believe it's fine for us to look at the options. I'd like to see what the results of these other councils, how it has affected businesses. My main concern is the bricks and mortar buildings that are paying rates year round. Councillor Lambert said this person is a ratepayer, but do they actually have a business that's rateable? I don't really care how good their van is. If someone's had a shop and paying rates for a long time, they should have a priority in the town. I think it's a dangerous path we go down where there won't be at some stage any certainty in a business centre, a hub. and we'll have a situation where we have a transient trade just moving around and no one will have any idea what's going on. So I'm happy to see what the officers come up with, but I'll be very reluctant to support mobile vans over local businesses.
Councillor Andrews.
This is just calling for a report on the whole area, and I think that's healthy because it's a while since we looked at a policy like this to see whether we're keeping pace with modern times. I remember when this was debated last time, it was doom and gloom and every business in Longford was about to be shut down because we were going to have food trucks on the green on Thursday and Friday nights. Well, they haven't, and the food trucks are still there. So let's just explore the issue and bring ourselves up to date on what's going on in the world and then make a decision.
Any further discussion? Councillor Adams?
Yes, I'll support the motion to get a report back and get some detail into that. The only thing I'll say is about being involved in, the jazz festival and other things on the town. It's always frustrating when the bricks and mortar businesses don't open when there's things really operating. I mean, that's the competition process, and they just don't open. That is so instead of adding to the well-being of the village and the towns, they take it away. Now, those things, people need to think about those things when we talk about, the competition and what competition, because if they don't open, someone else will come in and set up and offer the service, and in this case, food and whatever. So I think that needs to be involved, but let's have a look at some detail and see what happens.
Councillor Lambert, would you like to sum up?
Look, just to say that we're just looking for a variation in the mobile food vendors policy. It's those things in the papers are examples, some examples of what other councils are doing. Now, we might look at some of those and go, that's not going to work for our council, or this bit might, and that's what our officers, I think if we can get this up, will have a really good look at what might work for our community. Because what we are about is creating a balance and creating a fair, as fair as we possibly can, playing field for everyone. It's already here, and all we're asking for is an opportunity for this style of business to have perhaps, and I think Councillor Brooks talked about it, like what Meander Valley has. So a bit of an opportunity for them to be able to work and earn some money in a particular time slot that works for the style of business they have. They want to get a licence. They want to do the right thing. They want to work in their community, and I don't think it's a matter of competing vans against business. It's about being able to support and work together. So that's what I hope will come back. We'll get some good information come back from the officers that we can then have a good proper debate about what's going to work for our community. We've already set a precedent where we have created a special option for one business. So I think I look forward to seeing what comes back from the officers in this instance.
Thank you. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Councillor Goss is the only one against. The motion's carried. Another notice of motion from a councillor is around the Perth Structure Plan, and the officer's recommendation is that council request officers to report on the implementation status of the Perth Structure Plan, including progress to date, reprioritisation of outstanding actions and any implications for future strategic planning and budget considerations. This is a motion from Councillor Terrett. Do you wish to move that one, or your own, Councillor Terrett?
As the officer's recommendation.
Councillor Terrett, is there a seconder? Councillor Adams. Councillor Terrett, do you wish to speak to it?
I put this because I think, as most of us know, Perth is a growing area and has grown dramatically and will continue to grow. This is our guiding document for the structural plan of Perth and was written almost 10 years ago and brought into the effects of things such as the bypass and so forth. Perth is changing dramatically, and as we get into 2027, when we're looking at a 10-year strategic plan up until 2036, this is an important part of what we should be updating in our strategic planning. Perth needs to have community facilities. It needs playing fields. It needs things. You just can't build houses. You've got to build a community with that. And I hope with the support of the council that this structural plan will be updated, reviewed, and a further structural plan for Perth brought forward. I'd like to see a similar thing in all the other towns as well, so that the community knows what the next 10 years of their town and hopefully the next 50 years of what their town will look like, and bring the community in to that process, because it's community which drives these plans, and it is the council to facilitate this to occur.
Thank you, Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, there's certainly changes now to Perth and also growth, and also since the bypass we're going to be talking about toilets in Perth later, and there's no toilets at all on the eastern side, dealing with the highway at the time, really. There's a need to make sure we're upgrading the structural plan and the planning of how we work. There's some feeling that the growth of Perth will certainly need to expand the school, and that will put pressure on the recreation ground and probably the community centre as well there. So there needs to be, those things need to be kept in mind, and we need to endeavour to plan for that increase in population.
Any further discussion? Councillor Archer.
Yes, look, I'm happy to see how the present structure plan's looking. I'm a bit reluctant to, without further consideration, allocate any funding in the budget to it. I think we get to the stage where some of these plans, which cost a lot of money and things, are quite adequate with some tinkling by councils or things. So I'm happy to see how it's all going. There obviously is a major change with the bypass, but I'm reluctant to go forward with a whole new Perth structure plan at this stage, considering our budgetary restrictions.
Councillor Andrews.
I agree with Councillor Archer. The existing Perth structure plan is, I think, a pretty good forward-thinking document. All the framework is there, and it actually had planned for what we're seeing now. I think it just needs, if we can get an update and see what's been done already and what needs to be done, and considering where we are at the moment, what needs to be done that need to be tinkered with, I think that's perfect. And I would hope that we don't hire a consultant to do that for us, that we might be able to do it in-house.
Any further discussion? Okay, Councillor Terrett, would you like to sum up?
Just that I'd like to see an update similar to what Councillor Archer and Councillor Andrews says. But as this town changes, we need to also find out how we need to change our structural plan. And that dovetails into our overall structure, strategic planning process. We can't do one without the other. They are hand in hand to the future of our areas. Perth may grow bigger than Longford, and some people say it's already bigger than Longford, as one of our largest towns. So in order to facilitate that change and hear what the community want, we need to look at down the track and work together. But as a start, looking at how it already is, what we need to change, because some things have been superseded along the way, and if we need to also then look at budgetary considerations down the track.
Thank you. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? The motion's carried. Council committees, confirmation of their minutes. I have a recommendation there that the minutes of the meetings of council committees be received. Councillor Lambert's moving that, and Councillor Andrews is seconding. Oh yes, the item 5.3.3 was another notice of motion around the Perth Police Station. That's withdrawn until next month. Okay, so we have several minutes of meetings of community groups and district committees. Any discussion, questions? No, I'll put the Councillor Goss.
Just to make sure I'm in the right place, it's council committee.
Yes.
I just got a question about the Cressy District Committee. It says that there's no motions recorded from the council's consideration.
We haven't got to their motions yet. Yes, we have. We've got Councillor Lambert and Councillor Andrews. Well, we haven't got to those ones yet. We've just got the minutes at the moment.
Number 6.
Number 6.
Excuse me, Neil.
Yes.
what I want to talk about was that there's no motion from the Cressy District Committee.
Sorry, councillor Goss, can we just do number 6 first, which is simply the minutes of the ones that we've got? Then we move into who's got motions and who hasn't. Yes.
What I'm saying is there's no motion from the Cressy committee. So in the next council report, which is 7.4, Cressy haven't got anything in there, but there's a couple of things in there Cressy have got in there which I would like to bring up, which is in the minutes. So I need to bring them up in this point here, which is item 6, because it's not mentioned. They're not mentioned in the next item.
They're probably just not on this agenda because of the lateness of the meetings. Not all minutes were included in this agenda, not the actions from this.
I asked a question about their minutes then. Is that okay? I'll just have to give me a second because I've had a little bit of a... sorry, guys, let me turn up to my computer a little bit. So. I can't get it up because my computer's stopped working. So, in the minutes they mentioned about the upgrade of the Cressy childcare centre, and they had some concerns in there about the childcare centre. And one of the concerns the committee had was the access point. The plan that they've got has the access point coming directly opposite the IGA shop, and they're really concerned about that because at the moment it's outside the shop, as you would all be aware, that it's very, very busy, and it's a really, really tight intersection, and they put it up and they want that to be a part of the motion to go to council. But I just wonder with that information in the reports, do officers look at that, and will they consider that in that when they do the submissions for the plans for the Cressy Park area?
So the Cressy Park, the Solomon Review Park public consultation process, I think that finishes at the end of this month, on the 30th. So I imagine that the officer has left those out of this agenda, so it all comes back to the next agenda with the all the public consultation feedback.
I felt that in the Cressy District Forum meeting, they moved the motion that it goes to council that the entrance would be reviewed.
Yep,
Entrance into that park that we reviewed, and that would have been something on the council notes this month. But I appreciate that you said they weren't there in time, so you couldn't look at for this month. But hopefully they can look at next month.
Yes, and all the feedback for that park will come back together at once to the council, probably in a workshop, so that we can discuss all the feedback we've got and then come up with an amended plan.
Some other stuff they moved also with things like they had in the plan they had some a new barbecue area built on the back of the toilets. They thought in their view that was too close, having a barbecue area right next to the toilets, on the back wall of the toilets. And that was something also moved in there as well. So there's more than just to do with the childcare centre, it's more to do with the park as well.
Yeah, now all that feedback will go into the public consultation process, and council, a report will come back for council to consider, possibly at a workshop, and then obviously come back to council.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, councillor Goss. I will put that recommendation that we receive the minutes. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Now, council committee recommendations. As Campbelltown and Cressy, there was no motions for this meeting. Evandale has some motions. One is around Pioneer Park priority upgrades. And the officer's recommendation is that council officers provide an updated implementation schedule for priority upgrade works to be completed in the 26-27 financial period. I have a mover and a seconder for that or another recommendation. Councillor Terrett and Councillor Archer. Any discussion? Councillor Terrett, Councillor Archer.
I think we've been over there and visited. I think there's a need to alert the community to what stage we're at with the upgrade.
I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. They have one around the retention and upgrade of bicycle parking at number 10 and the Time Traveller Park. And the officer's recommendation is that the council support the committee's recommendation. Do we need to actually have the recommendation in there?
Oh,
Because it's not actually, it kind of needs to be a part of that, doesn't it?
we can copy that in, yes.
Yeah. Mover is Councillor Terrence moving, Councillor Lambert is seconding. Any discussion, Councillor Terrence?
No, I think it's straightforward that this has been an ongoing matter with the Avondale District Committee, and I think it's straightforward from here.
Councillor Lambert?
This needs to happen.
And everybody's happy that we put in what the actual recommendation is into the actual recommendation, so we know what we're moving. All right, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Already? Gosh.
30, isn't it?
Yes, 5:30, public question time. Right, we shall move to that. Okay, it's now public question time, so members of the public are, well, apart from being welcome, and can I please make sure that everybody's got their phones on silent. You can now ask a question that's not related to any of our planning items. And a person is entitled to ask 2 questions and speak for 3 minutes. Being mindful that our meeting is audio live streamed and recorded. Okay, so is there anybody from the members of the public who would like to ask something that's not related to planning items? Just state your name and the town you live in.
Ben Childs from the Perth Community Progress Association. Just like to speak in relation to the proposed motion which was withdrawn regarding the future use of the former Perth Police Station. At its core, that motion introduces...
Just a second, we've got an interest. Yep.
There's a conflict.
Yep. Do you want to close the door, Councillor Terry? Thank you. Thank you.
Core, this motion introduces a requirement that community groups must demonstrate the ability to fund significant building upgrades before being considered as a tenant. In practical terms, that means volunteer-led organisations have been asked to commit to works likely in the hundreds of thousands of dollars simply to make a council-owned asset usable. I'm sure it's clear to everybody in this room that that is not a realistic expectation. Community organisations are not commercial developers. They exist to deliver social, cultural and community outcomes, not to take on the financial burden of capital upgrades to public assets. If the building requires works to bring it up to a standard suitable for public use, then that is fundamentally a question of asset readiness. Council should not expect a residential tenant to fund major upgrades to make a property habitable, and it's difficult to justify applying a far higher standard to groups that are proposing to deliver direct benefit to the community. The likely outcome of this motion is not stronger proposals, it is no proposals. Not because there is no interest, and not because there is no capability, but because the financial barrier is set beyond what any genuine community group can reasonably meet. That risks leaving council with a vacant asset or defaulting to short-term residential use, which does not deliver the long-term community value that this opportunity presents. The more practical and balanced approach would be for council to ensure that the building meets baseline compliance and safety requirements, while community groups take responsibility for the activation, programming and ongoing operations of the building. I would also note that decisions of this nature must be made with clear transparency and fairness. Where outcomes may influence the future use or potential disposal of a council asset, it is essential that the community has confidence in the integrity of the process too. Where any perceived conflicts of interest may exist, I trust they will be appropriately declared and managed. This is a genuine opportunity to create something lasting for Perth, a shared community space that reflects the needs and identity of the town. I urge council to ensure that the conditions placed on community groups are achievable, equitable and aligned with that goal. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to speak on the same topic. Four people can speak on one topic. Usually 2 for and 2 against, but you're most welcome.
Benefit of the book, Sue Field, Perth Historical Society. Good evening, councillors. Look, I'm talking on the same topic. And I've been working on the idea of having a museum and history archives in Perth since about 2018. Initially, we were going to get access to some part of the community centre. When the childcare centre moved out, we were offered the room that the childcare centre was vacating. That didn't happen as a result. By the time the childcare centre was built, they still needed the overflow and they still needed the space. So it's not something that's come up overnight. I've been working on this for a long time, trying to get something for the people of Perth. Since then, I've volunteered hundreds of hours of my time to this project to try and find a location. I've worked on the basis that Perth is growing rapidly and in population, but it's still lacking in infrastructure and facilities. Unlike other towns in the region, Perth has been overlooked. Perth doesn't have war memorial halls, it doesn't have bowling clubs, RSL clubs, it doesn't have town halls and libraries. We are lacking a lot of facilities, considering our population now is the largest population in the region. Perth has sold off a lot of his places, the Anglican Church, Methodist Church, Rover House. They've all been sold off to private enterprise. So we've been limiting ourselves in what we've got left to use. The state government owns the old convict station, and that's being used for business purposes. Escaley is still working with us. They really want to be part of the town, so we have a good relationship with Escaley in that they are trying to be part of the Perth community. That is fantastic, and they've been running events, Cinema Under Stars, Christmas events, whatever. They're trying to be part of Perth. If we get this project up, they will be part of this project. The community garden that we will have behind the residence will be owned and run by the Escaley, so that we don't have to do the work. They will organise all the volunteers, they will organise the gardens, the tools and everything, so that they will be seen as Escaley in Perth, and the same people, same thing, so they can monitor what's grown in each garden, and they will be part of Perth. The other one that's a big part of it, and if you've read the plans, you'd know the other big part of it is the police museum, which makes absolute sense to be using a police station, an old, a police station, as a police museum. The police museum in Hobart will once again be responsible for that. They will own all the items that are there, they will curate it, they will monitor it, and they will be responsible for it. Because
just let you know,
they have
Sue,
a
you've
lot of
got
material.
1 minute left.
It's okay, because they have a lot of material that needs to be shown on display, and it'll be the Northern Police Museum, Northern Tasmania Police Museum. So those are very big things. If we don't have the police station and residence, there's nowhere else in town to do that. So the project has been led by two groups, the Progress Association and the History Association. We've gone through the processes of community groups working together and a lot of other people, not just groups. And we've been to the due process of getting people to put the plans in. My question is, has the same process been applied to the purchase and conversion of the Longford Police Station? I know that the work's already started on that one. Nothing's started on the Perth one yet. Is the Longford Community Group coming up with the funds to pay for this conversion, like Perth is being expected to do? We should be treated as well as Longford, the same way as Longford, if not better. So we need.
You've only got a tiny bit left.
Okay. So if Perth Community Hub is established and operating the same way as the Evandale Community Hub, which has obviously been established for quite a while, but it was established on the same principles that we are going to be established. So if it's not good enough for the Perth Community Hub to be set up with the council doing the work and then leasing it to us, like a landlord to a leasee, then Evandale needs to shut down tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Sue. Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to raise a question around something that's not related to a planning item? Yes. Yes, certainly. Just state your name and the town you live in.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sunny. I am the manager of IG at Campbelltown. And today I would like to raise a serious concern regarding the removal of parking directly outside the IG entrance in the proposed design, which is the stage 2 development design. From what we can see, the current plan removes the parking space in front of the store due to curb extensions and intersection changes. That effectively takes away the ability for customers to stop, shop quickly and leave. For a supermarket, especially in a town like Campbelltown, this is not just about convenience, it's about access to essential goods. A large number of our customers rely on being able to park very close to the entrance, particularly elderly residents, customers with mobility challenges, families with young children, people doing quick essential shopping. We see many elderly customers every morning who depend on parking right outside the store. Even a short walk can be difficult for them. If that access is taken away, it becomes a real barrier. This change will reduce accessibility for vulnerable members of the community, discourage quick visits, impact customer safety and comfort, and ultimately affect the viability of an essential local business. What I'm requesting for is very practical. At least 1 or 2 disabled parking bays directly outside or very close to the entrance. 2 to 3 short-term parking bays for quick shopping. A loading or a pickup zone near the entrance, if that is a possibility. And a review of the curb layout to see even a small adjustment can retain some parking, like putting disability parking on one of the curbs. This is the key point. This is not just a parking issue. This is a community access issue. If people cannot easily access the supermarket, especially elderly residents, then we are creating a problem while trying to solve another. I would also like to ask what provision has been made for elderly or mobility impaired customers. Why has parking been removed from directly, or it has been proposed to be removed directly outside an essential service? And if there is any flexibility in the design to retain at least minimal parking. I strongly request that this design to be reconsidered to ensure that safety improvements do not come at the cost of accessibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Should I ask the project manager to
No, we'll talk about that at the end.
Is there anybody else in the members of the public? Yes.
I'm Corey Peters, resident of Campbelltown and owner of Harmony on High Street, which is directly opposite the IGA. The pillars of the streetscape are pedestrian safety, aesthetic choices, and a consistent look across High Street. The importance of these things seems to change depending on the specific issues that are raised. Safety implications were ignored when someone in the planning decided that something looked good. Tripping hazards were attached to the footpath, trees that block line of sight, and strips of grass installed outside shops next to where people are supposed to park, including 3.6 meters outside my shop. The majority of Campbelltown's residents are elderly. Some of my customers and many of my elderly artists use walking frames or canes. They should not be exiting their cars onto uneven, slippery, and in the winter, muddy grass. Please remove the planned grass outside my shop and provide people with a safe and level surface when entering and exiting their cars. The King Street intersection is another major concern for us about stage 2. The hard stands are overly large, they take away valuable parking, and they narrow the King's Street side street, which will make turning more difficult for buses, trucks, caravans, and agricultural machinery. We think this will have a negative impact on the flow of highway and street traffic, side street traffic. We were told there isn't enough traffic to matter, and the rare delays would be an extra second or 2. We've also been told that what was done in stage 1 must carry over to stage 2 for consistency. However, in stage 2, the footpath outside the IGA is nearly doubling to... The only thing that seems consistent about this whole streetscape is reducing parking and narrowing the road. The details seem random. We are requesting a redesign of the King Street intersection, specifically reducing the size of the hard stands and minimizing the narrowing of King Street. Some members of council in the past have stated that our concerns should be dismissed because everything was decided back in 2017. And everyone allegedly wants the streetscape. However, we proved with the brick trail, people are not happy with all of the decisions that were made, and community feedback was ignored in favor of a city planner's idea for a country town. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak about a
Yes,
topic that's not related to planning?
I'm Leanne Peters from Campbelltown, and I have a few things to say about stage one. So stage one of the Campbelltown streetscape is due to be completed this month, but it seems to have stopped and there's still a lot to do. So I'm wondering, what is the hold-up and the estimated completion date now? If anyone has an answer to that, I'd be...
Project manager wish to answer that question?
There's approximately 4 to 6 weeks extension of time to the contract due to some unforeseen infrastructure with Taswater and some anomalies with some of the issues along the street with ageing infrastructure. So particularly the upgrade of the water main from Queen Street to King Street, when installing some irrigation connection points for council for the garden beds, the pipe is quite brittle and it started leaking just as we excavated with hydro vacuum. So that's had some added some additional delays and a few additional delays up around the William Street intersection as well.
Okay. So we're expecting June now, 4 to 6 weeks. We could put that into June, perhaps?
We're looking at end of May to...
End of May.
Is that what we're trying to achieve?
Okay. The other question about that, similar to that, is I'm just wondering if there's a reason that over half of the block, so the block on the west side between Wilds, the antique shop and our gallery, over half of that block is currently blocked off, like no parking, but there's no works happening and the barricade is blocking the parking and there's nothing happening. That's been there like that for over a week. So I'm just wondering, can they move these blockages back while we wait and so we can park there? That would be really good. Is there a reason?
I can answer that.
Go back there, or we can.
That's the spot where the Taswater main is running down from Queen to King Street, and also council is remediating the area out the front of the garage that there is some underground fuel tanks in storage that are there. So, so council has completed filling those tanks. We've been told or commissioned by the environmental designer that we've got to install 2 additional ground wells to monitor the groundwater in that area, and a drill rig has to come in and put 2 more in there. So that contributes to that area as well. So, but I can talk to our contractor to minimise any unnecessary barriers. And you'll notice the contractors have gone up to William Street corner to progress that area whilst there's a delay in that section.
Okay, so it'd be good to restore as much parking as possible if we can. Also, just regarding the brick trail, I still have not seen a public statement from Northern Midlands Council about the brick reinstatement, which happened in mid-January. I may have missed it, but many members of the community and beyond ask about the trail. Where are the bricks? Can they add to them? And I've heard people even express doubt that they'll be reinstated at all. And that in itself shows how little the community trusts the council. So again, I would like to request a public statement about the reinstatement of the trail. We need it. The public needs it. Can we expect a public statement soon?
A public statement, but I can tell you now that it will be reinstated. But after the stage 1 is complete.
Yeah. So can council put out a statement about the trail? Just that because the bricks are being ripped up, people are thinking that the bricks aren't going back down. So I feel like they're always coming to me asking what's going on with the bricks, but it'd be good if I could point them to a public statement from council. Yeah, thank you. And can I just add one more thing?
Very quickly.
So I just want to add about consistency. It's been brought up a number of times about the stage 1 streetscape design. I wonder why outside the coffee stop and the kebab shop, there are 3 parks marked out at 3 different lengths, and why footpaths and parking widths are also inconsistent across stage 1. I don't understand the big talk about consistency around things like continuing the ship shapes and the arrows, and yet fundamental aspects are so different. Therefore, is the consistency really important or just selective? So that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor
Well,
Brooks.
I asked the project manager, just heard from ratepayer there about the inconsistency with the park, and what, can you elaborate more on that?
So Australian standards for parking varies with high flow, high turnover, and also when you approach parking through a driveway or when there's no parking after or before that as well. So you can have, if you're going to enter a parking spot through someone's driveway or the entrance to a driveway, you can have a shorter distance. And when you've got a car spot that's got a car spot in front or at the rear of it, it can be longer for higher flow. So there's some guidelines with the Australian standard, and the project engineer has adopted those guidelines for high flow, high turnover spots, and they do vary compared to other spots. And if you've got a lead in with an outstand, obviously that can be a shorter car spot because there's a section that's a 45 degrees that you can enter in there.
Thank you. Now, is there any other member of the public who wishes to speak about something that's not related to planning?
I'm Dave Kramer of Campbelltown. I'm the owner of the coffee stop. Just follow on, with regards to the parking, the white lines that were put in roughly a month ago are already starting to rub off. I don't think they're going to be there much longer. There's spots that's already coming off. Further down in front of Banjos, those spots are different sizes again and different to the ones that are in front of mine. We measured them this morning. The big argument for the streetscaping part one was safety. The bus stop for the side heading to Launceston, there's a gap of about 4 inches from the footpath into the grass. And that's right where people have to load their bags into the bus, because a lot of people who catch the bus from Campbelltown have luggage which goes under the bus in the, I don't know what you call it, cargo hold, whatever it is. And during winter, they'll be standing in mud. There are tripping points up and down the entire block. There are parts where the road does not match where the water's supposed to run. It's not level. There's concrete that's already broken away. I've got tripping points out the front of the kebab shop from the boats, which I'm quite happy that none of you, when you were in Campbelltown, the councillors, a couple of weeks ago, tripped over there. That's why I didn't get in my car straight away. I was watching to make sure you were all right. I truly believe that stage 2 shouldn't happen till we fix stage 1. And the block between Queen Street and King Street with all those barriers, 2 wheelbarrows of gravel filling up the little strip that they've cut out would allow 80% of those barriers to go, and for businesses such as Tassie Handcrafts on High and Cocoa Blue to actually get some customers and park. I know one of those businesses is closed for the next week. I think she's had enough. There's just nowhere near her business to park and no end in sight. And with the timeline, 7 months is up. I don't see it being done in 4 weeks. I think that's dreaming. That's just plucking a number to tell us what we want to hear.
Please be respectful.
I am being respectful. If the answers given to us are respectful, I'll be respectful back. Telling us that all that work is going to be done in 4 weeks, not a chance. There's no way. I can't see it happening inside of 4 months. And this means that stage 2 then drags into next summer, and we have another summer with reduced parking. Where does it end? You know, we're business owners. It's enough already. I think we've copped enough from council over this, and let's get stage 1 right before we bother with stage 2.
Thank you. Any other topics from any members of the public?
But I'd like to.
This is about what?
About Campbelltown.
No, we've already had 4 speakers. I'm sorry, Mario.
That's all right.
Thank you. There's nobody else who wishes to speak about a different topic that's not related to Cam.
I'd like to move that we let Mario speak. We haven't.
Okay, yep. Is there a seconder? Councillor Terrett?
Thanks,
Brooks, Terrett. All those in favour? Against? Carry. You've got 3 minutes, Mario.
Just regarding IGA, again, and the parking there. Now, I'm turning 76. I have a disabled parking thing, and I have bad legs and back from osteoarthritis. I also have a friend, she's 80, she's blind in one eye and just licence been taken off her. She toddles along with her feet, can't move. We have to support her. I pick her up, take her to IGA to do her shopping. There is one disabled parking. Now, what they've done in the street, there is no parking. If I want to park and she can't walk, she shuffles and can fall over as easy as possible. We're going to walk miles down the road to find a parking spot, get all the way back to IGA. Thursday is Seniors' Day. It gets packed because the seniors are all there doing their shopping. Where can they park? Get to the chemist. They can't because there's no parking. All the parking's gone, been taken up. One disabled parking, it's nothing. Now they've got the machine there to put the empty bottles in. People are parking there too, taking up space again. And all the tourists. I'm just pointing out my point of view as a resident there and a senior with disabilities and others about the parking. So thanks very much. That's all to mention. Bring it up.
Your name, please.
Oh, Mario Fenech from Campbelltown.
Yeah,
Thank you.
No questions now from anybody else in the community about something that's not related to planning? Okay, we'll move into planning. Have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Lambert.
Yes.
Councillor Terrett. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay. Yes, Councillor Lambert and Councillor Terrett. Now, do we have any members of the community who wish to ask questions about a planning item or make statements? No? Okay. Planning 1. Planning 1 is a draft amendment.
Sorry.
Excuse me.
Can I get the print copy so I can include it in the minutes? Is that okay for you? The people who already actually talked?
Point of order. Councillor Andrews has just pointed out that we haven't done 7.4.
Do we go back to where we left off, or do we go?
No, we do planning now. Yeah, we do planning first, then we'll go back.
Thank you.
Yes.
And then we'll go to the Campbelltown Streetscape, and then we'll go back.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, planning 1 is a draft amendment 2026 to apply archaeological potential overlay Northern Midlands local provision schedule maps at 6B Saundridge Road, beg your pardon, 110 Main Street and 3960 Macquarie Road, and remove local heritage place listing from 6A Saundridge Road, Cressy. And there is a recommendation there that under section 40DB of the Land Use and Planning Approvals Act 1993, Council as a planning authority agrees to prepare draft amendment 2026 to the Northern Midlands local provision schedule as set out below, and 2, that under the section 40F2A of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993, Council as a planning authority certify the draft amendment 2026 to the Northern Midlands local provision schedule as meeting the local provision schedule criteria. Does our planner wish to speak about anything first before we discuss it?
Only just to say that this is really just a mapping addition to provisions that already apply within the planning scheme. Just with the changeover of the scheme, they have just been missed. So it's really just making sure that the mapping correlates to the actual written text, and that the heritage listing, removal of that local listing, is over a block that has been previously reviewed and subject to further developments, now contains new units. So,
Thank you. So Councillor Adams has moved. We have a seconder for the officer's recommendation. Councillor Archer. Councillor Adams, do you wish to speak to it?
Well, this is just cleaning up. There was an issue of whether there was any graves in this area, and it had to be checked and to make sure that wasn't going to be, because there's a plan which has occurred to put units on the block. So I'm pleased that this is been sorted out and takes us forward.
Councillor Archer.
No, I haven't.
Councillor Goss.
I just want to ask about 6B. That's the block that they're going to put 3 units on, and it's got a cemetery on it. Will those cemeteries be protected?
Yeah, so there's no change to 6B other than to actually apply the sort of spatial overlay of the archaeological place so that it already is registered in the text.
Protect the cemeteries on there.
Yeah, so it basically applies that archaeological potential overlay on the site. So it adds not an additional level because it's already in the text, but make sure that it is spatially visible, that is subject to that protection.
Any further discussion? No, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Planning 2 is, hang on. Okay, Planning 2 is a draft amendment 21/2026 to modify the Nor Table C606.1 local heritage places and amend the spatial application of the local heritage place overlay. We have a recommendation there that under section 40DB of the Land Use Planning Approvals Act 1993, Council as a planning authority agrees to prepare a draft amendment 21/2026 to the Northern Midlands Local Provisions Schedule as set out below, and 2, that under section 40F2A of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993, Council as a planning authority certify the draft amendment 21/2026 to the Northern Midlands Local Provisions Schedule as meeting the LPS criteria. Again, would our planner like to explain so everybody understands what we're voting on?
So all of the changes, as it says there, are outlined in attachment 1, but this is really fixing up the spatial application of local heritage places where those places have been removed from the THC register, or to align our local listing with the TH listing if that has spatially been tweaked or expanded, and also just removing some of those overlays on blocks that have been subdivided off existing heritage places and contain new structures, so new houses or units and so on. So it's really a kind of an administration process really of tidying up all of those listings and ensuring that properties that don't actually contain aspects of heritage significant aren't subject to unnecessary provisions.
Thank you. Councillor Andrews, are you moving the recommendation?
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Wait till it's moved. I'll ask a question.
Okay. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Terrett and Councillor Adams. I'll need to do these 2 first. Councillor Terrett.
Look, it is good that we fixed up the anomalies within our planning instrument, and this does that. I'm particularly interested how this will be communicated to the property owners, that this is being changed, and I make the assumption that all those properties will be written to about this change, because previously they were impacted by the overlays and had to pay additional charges, I believe. One gentleman who came back to me about a change to his property that had to put additional charges. So just a question to the planners, how will this be communicated to the property owners?
So the amendment process is that generally it goes through a public exhibition process, and we can obviously individually notify those individual property owners that are affected also, unless the Commission exempts us from having to go through that process, in which case we can just do an informed notification.
Councillor Adams.
No, it's been covered, Councillor Terrett.
Councillor Andrews.
I just want to ask a question. I presume that this process has to come after the areas have been developed for other uses, because you have to see what the developments are going to be before you tidy up. It just...
That's right. So
you would think logically that it would be done before various developments go ahead, but you can't, can you? You have to wait till they happen.
Well, in most cases, so where a block is subdivided off a site of heritage significant that's registered with the THC, Tasmania Heritage Council, they will retain their heritage listing over that area that's been subdivided until such time as it's reviewed, and then they go through a process of delisting. And so in the majority of these cases, that's already occurred, and the THC have gone through that review and delisted those sites. And I think there's one where there's a large subdivision off the around the corner of Elizabeth Street and Clarence Street there. I'm pretty sure that all bar one of those blocks is developed, and in any case we have a planning permit on that block that is still subject to be developed. So yeah, they have all been subject to subsequent development. Yep.
Any further discussion?
No.
I gave you a chance. Did I give you a chance to speak?
Yeah, I did speak. I'll just speak in reply. Anybody else?
I know no one else, so you can sum up. So,
I'm particularly pleased that this is being fixed up, particularly in relation to Elizabeth Street and Clarence Street and Affleck Street, for that matter, because Affleck, all those residents in new houses in Affleck Street were previously impacted by the heritage overlay. So fixing this is a sensible way of going, and hopefully this will alleviate great concern out in the community.
thank you. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, so now we're going to go to page 119 on the paper ones. Sorry, move out of planning. Yes, beg your pardon. Thank you, Councillor Archer. Councillor Adams. Councillor Archer's going to second. So that we move out of planning. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you for that. Oh, Councillor Archer seconded and Councillor Adams moved it. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we're going to go to
114. Page 114.
Yeah, 114 it is, okay, right. Right. It's the 16.4 Campbelltown Streetscape Redevelopment Stage 2, consultation and feedback. And we have an officer recommendation there for two options. The council incorporates the following changes to Stage 2 of Campbelltown Streetscape Redevelopment. The first option is King Street, beg your pardon?
Okay.
Okay.
You're just explaining to each other.
Proceed with King Street intersection as designed, or 2, reduce the outstands by, this is the other option, reduce the outstands by approximately 1 metre and increase parking width in front of the IGA and remove the grassed area and add additional esplanade entrance clarity and traffic control measures, reduce the garden area to the esplanade, remove 2 signature trees at the Red Bridge, provide pedestrian paths to all existing property accesses, maintain the structural integrity of retaining walls along all property boundaries, initiate discussions with the state government regarding the redevelopment of the old fire station site for a new car park, introduce bins within the design plans, remove 1 tree from the front of 129 High Street adjacent to the butcher's shop, include parallel line marking guidance along High Street, sequence construction works to commence car parking works in King Street first, and highlight the central median lane for turning movements subject to Australian standards, guidelines and road authority approval. Change the opening taper to the Red Bridge area to provide additional space whilst maintaining acceptable pedestrian crossing distances. And initiate development application process. And I believe there was one in the workshop that we needed to consider adding about signage.
Additional signage to promote the Red Bridge.
So can you add that one, please? Right, cool. All right, we need a mover and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Andrews.
I'll move recommendation B.
And Councillor Terrett seconding that for B. Councillor Andrews, do you wish to speak to it?
Yes, just to say that I was really pleased to see this motion as it's worded from the officers because it comes from feedback from consultation with the community, extensive consultation with the community, and council has workshopped it after receiving the reports back from the community consultation, and council officers have responded to that those comments that have come back from the community and also other councillors, and what's being suggested here I think is a really good reflection of that, and I'm very happy to move the recommendation.
Councillor Terrett.
I'd just like to see if I can get a response from the project manager about the comments made by members of the public tonight, and whether all those considerations have been taken into account, and whether there is any need to, which ones haven't been taken into account.
So councillors can adjust the motion if they wish. If the mover and the seconder would like to, regarding the grass in front of Harmony on High, they can include that to have no grass there to match the other side of the IGA. In relation to the disabled parking, there is one current spot as we speak in King Street at the moment. In the design, there is an additional spot in King Street. Officers did look at disabled spots over on the other side of King Street, on Harmony on High corner, and also where the pub is, but due to crossfalls and gradients of the road, those spots wouldn't meet the Australian standards for disability parking. So we put an additional one in front of IGA there in the King Street intersection there. In response to having a disabled park along High Street itself, having a disability person exiting the driver's door beside the main road is not good practice, where you're best to have it on the side street where you shared section in between where you have the bollard and the hashed area. So we put an additional one next to that, so there is two. We could, if council wish to have some more spots, we can definitely put them in there, but those spots are only restricted to people with the appropriate disability ticket to use those spots. So having them there takes up other spots as well, so it's a balance of that as well. So with council.
So following up from Councillor Terrett's request, do we need to add anything to the motion?
You could add the Harmony on High, the grassed area there, if council would like some additional disabled parking. Officers can look at that with the engineers. We'll be definitely following up with the contractor with the barriers and so forth, and also any trip hazards. We'll do another review of the street there with any of those trip hazards that were brought up. So we can definitely look at that subject to this motion, of course.
Thank you. Councillor Lambert's next.
I was just going to query about the disabled spots as well, so I think that's been answered.
Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the disabled spots. So just let me get this clear. At the supermarket, at the IGA, how many disabled spots have we got, will we have there?
Currently there's one, there'll be two in the design.
Yep, two in the design. Right. So to address all the concerns of the ratepayers and shop owners that were here tonight, there was a lot of trip hazards by the sounds of things, and things that weren't practical in that stage one development. Is if the mover and seconder are okay, we add another, what are we up to? OP, Q? Are we up to Q? Mm-hmm. Yep, it like to put something in there that these faults can be addressed. Because it's all right to say, oh yeah, we'll take the grass out, but there was a lot of other things there that were trip hazards that were brought up here tonight, and I don't want to see those things just swept under the carpet or forgotten about. We need to have some sort of documentation there on the motion that these things are going to be rectified.
There was one other trip hazard in regards to the bus stop with the loading of the luggage underneath, and as part of that stage there, we're going to put additional concrete in so that the coach drivers can load and unload the luggage area underneath.
Yep.
And that's already in the plans?
That's already underway with that design. Obviously, when we such a big design, any things like that that we can better as we go along, we will do it. Just like council has put yellow lines in front of all the driveways. The original design didn't have that. We realised it was already previously there, so we've put that in as we've gone along. So anytime we find something that's a safety issue, of course we're going to address it as a matter of priority.
How come though it hasn't been addressed now until we've heard about it tonight?
It was brought up last site meeting about trip hazards and to make sure there's no trip hazards. And obviously areas within Campbelltown is gravel and the gravel gets worn away. So we need to constantly maintain that and be onto it, which I believe the contractors are doing a good job. It is a long site. Yes, there is some areas open, but we'll be readdressing that after this meeting also.
So do we need another item at all to make sure you're covered, or I'll ask the officer, but that's all, it's all maintenance and you'll be covering off on that.
The contractor under work health and safety for a construction site have got their obligations, and that's up to their obligations, and it's council to follow up to make sure that the PCBU is undertaking the works in accordance with the Work Health and Safety Act and the regulations. So I'll be reiterating that after the meeting when I make contact again to make sure there's no safety issues as per what they agreed to do.
Before you sum up, Councillor Andrews, does anyone else wish to make comment? Councillor Goss.
Only just at the community that's here from Campbelltown. I really stress that if there's something there that's not safe, if you could contact the council office and let them know, and then that message can get straight to through our works through to the people doing the work down there, and we get it fixed. Because even if it works in progress, it still needs to be safe for everybody, and it's really important we get that information as soon as we can so we can rectify that. Thank you.
Your question, yes?
The removal of the grass in front of Harmony on High, does that need to be included as Q as well?
We're going to do away with it.
I thought that was
Get rid of the grass and put concrete.
Well, that's what I just want to clarify, that...
Does that need to be noted?
Where it has on there, remove the grass in front of the IGA, I would advise, if that's the way the mover and seconder would like it, is to include the grassed area in front of Harmony on High also. So you have that there in that.
IGA and Harmony on High.
Correct.
Mover and seconder, happy with that?
IGA
Yes.
and Harmony on High.
You get the chance to sum up.
I was just asked if I was happy with removing the grass.
Oh, sorry, yes, sorry.
I would have to think about that actually, because I live in a country municipality and I really like the idea of having a bit of grass reintroduced to the main street of Campbelltown, and I don't believe that it will become muddy in winter time. But you know, for the peace and tranquility of Campbelltown, I'll accept that we have to take the grass away again.
And Councillor Brooks, are you asking a question?
Yeah, I am asking a question about King Street. There's been a lot of talk about the intersection there, we're turning onto the highway. Is that going to be looked at by some officer just to make sure that's safe? Like we talked about the lack of parking in Campbelltown before, and you know the response was, well, park in King Street. Well, if it's unsafe to come out from King Street, why are we advocating to park in King Street? So I think it needs to be just someone to have a second look at it, just to make sure that it's safe.
I believe our project officer has done that, and we have a qualified
Traffic engineer has done an assessment on that, on this development, and officers went back to the engineer to ask some additional questions after consultation and provided those comments. Those comments are in the attachments to say that the intersection will operate safely, or should, and there's also some attachments in there showing how the Queen Street Commonwealth Lane intersection is operating currently at this stage as well.
There's some videos there as well, Councillor.
I know it's all right to see it on paper, but the practicality is sometimes it's just not practical. Like there's been talk about you can't see what's coming from the other side because of the parked cars. So yes, it may look safe on paper, but in reality, is it really? So let's hopefully there is no accidents there, because if there is accidents there, it'll be a shame that, you know, we've sit around here and talked about it tonight, and it'll be a shame if there is accidents or near misses on that corner.
I think
Is there anyone who hasn't spoken which to speak? Councillor Adams.
there's a traffic engineer.
We've had traffic engineers
Councillor
before
Brooks,
for
excuse me,
different
Councillor Brooks,
things.
you've had your say
I've
now.
got the floor.
Yeah, excuse me.
Traffic engineer,
Councillor
a
Adams.
professional person.
Councillor Adams.
doing their
Put it
job.
all before Councillor Adams.
Councillors, please. Councillor Adams, both of you, please speak respectfully, one at a time. It's Councillor Adams' turn.
Okay. There's a professional doing this work. We have to accept that person's responsibility as a professional traffic engineer and to make the decisions and recommend to us. To question the traffic engineer is really not to understand how the world works.
Point of order.
Yeah, excuse me.
Yep, that's disrespectful.
Both of you please be respectful and stop interrupting. Councillor Andrews, would you like to sum up?
Yes, thank you. Just to perhaps clear up a point too. Councillor Brooks wasn't at the last workshop, and we were shown videos. We actually saw videos of the street working, which showed that it did work with the corner that you were talking about. So we've actually seen it in real life, not just on paper.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Ask the residents then, does it work in real life?
Yeah, thanks.
You know, we
Please,
sit here
Councillor
and watch
Brooks.
the video.
Please, Councillor Brooks, you've had your turn. Councillor Andrews has the floor now.
I'm really pleased to move this recommendation and get things happening. I've been talking to a lot of Campbelltown people, not just the people who've been here tonight, and I'm pleased that they've come and appreciate their continued interest in this. But I've also been talking to a lot of other Campbelltown people while we've been debating all of this, and the people that I've been speaking to are really happy with the way things are moving. They just want it to happen now, and they're pleased that Council has taken note of the feedback that's come from the consultation in the community. You can see that feedback Council has listened in the recommendations that we're about to move. There's a whole pile of things that have been added in or changed after that community consultation. So I'm very happy that what we're moving here tonight reflects the feeling of the wider community of Campbelltown, and I'm pleased to move it.
Thank you. Now, before I put the motion to be moved, can you please take note of the additions that we've put in? B, removal of grass in front of High Street on Harmony Shop. And O, provide additional signage to promote the Red Bridge. They've been additions to the other items. I'm going to put that recommendation now. Sorry, question?
The disabled, where's that listed?
That's already in there.
It's already in there, that's all right. Just the
Yeah, I saw it before, sorry.
It's already in the
Okay.
original plan.
All right, I'll put that.
Where is that? Can you just say the disabled one?
It's in the original plan.
Where is it?
That was in the original plan.
Sorry, the original design has got 2 car spots in there. If council would like more than 2, they need to add, they need to put another
These are
item.
only the additions to what from the community consultation. Okay, I'm going to put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Councillor Brooks is against. The recommendations passed. Okay, now we're going to go back to 7.3.2. Oh, we did it on that. Oh, when do we want tea? It's 6:30 already, nearly 20 past. Do we want to break for our meal now and then come back? It's up to you.
Yes.
Okay, all right, break for our meal now and then we'll come back. Okay, we are up to 7.4, Longford District Committee.
I'll move to.
Well, I better say what it is first. 7.4.1, investigation of unused bridge for Longford pedestrian and cyclist access. The officer's recommendation is that council take no further action in relation to the unused bridge near the Glebe Gardens. And Councillor Adams is moving the motion. Yes. And do I have a seconder? Councillor Andrews? Okay, Councillor Adams. You wish to speak to it? You're right. Councillor Andrews?
I'd just like to note along the District Committee's ingenuity in coming up with this solution, but, you know, thinking outside the square, fabulous. Unfortunately, knowing the history of the bridge and the person who built it, I probably wouldn't take it on at Longford.
Sorry,
it's nice to see our committees thinking outside the square.
Yes, absolutely.
And hopefully we can solve this problem soon.
Councillor Brooks.
It does have a bit of history, this bridge. So yeah, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea just to whack it over the river and then just see what happens with the planning department.
Any further debate? No. Okay, I will put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 7.6, there were no motions from Ross. 7.6 is notices of motion from other committees. Morven Park Management Committee have put a motion forward, and the officer's recommendation is that council does not endorse at this time the Morven Park Management Committee's request to depart from the current committee meeting procedures. However, council agrees to consider the committee's reasons as part of the upcoming review of the Welcome to Country and Acknowledgement of Country policy. Have a motion moved by a councillor, please. That one or another one?
I'd like to move another one.
Yes.
The council approves of Morven Park Management Committee to opt out of the Acknowledgement of Country.
Is there a seconder for that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Councillor Brooks is seconding. Councillor Terrett.
And Morven Park is a group of volunteers who give their time and interest in the maintenance and improvement of Morven Park. Welcome to Country has always been a voluntary gesture, and Morven Park has done the right thing by contacting council and saying they don't wish to proceed with this. And in that light, I think we should respect their request to be opting out of the Acknowledgement of Country. Making people do things that they fundamentally don't agree with is not a thing we do in a democracy. And as such, they should be given, if they do write to council, be given that ability to opt out of things that they don't want. Reconciliation Australia also implies that it's not a mandatory thing to have, and that anybody can do and offer acknowledgement of country. Many people also acknowledge the fact that people of First Nations would prefer to have acknowledgement of country done sincerely and not be forced on one, and so it becomes a bit of tokenism. Whatever one thinks about acknowledgement of country, it should be left up to an individual or group of individuals to say. They just want to get on with doing what they are there for, the management of Morven Park. And they see that they do not want to say this, and we should acknowledge what that committee has asked this council for permission to do.
Councillor Brooks, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, I think Councillor Terrett's basically covered it, but I'd like to see, you know, if there's any other committees that feel the same way, that, you know, that they can basically do the same thing and not be made to do something that they don't want to do either.
Any further Councillor Goss?
Just a couple of questions to the officer. Sure. Is that, do we have any legal obligations to say this or do this, or are we required by legislation anywhere to do this?
I'll pass it on to our legal officer if you like, after that.
No, there's no legal requirement and there's no directive from the Office of Local Government. It appears in 2016, 2018 when the original policy was adopted. It was considered best practice for public authorities to adopt such a policy, and that's what Council's gone with. The Acknowledgement of Country, Welcome to Country policy will come back to Council in June or July this year for their review, and this information will be again put forward then.
Thank you. Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, well, I don't support this motion. We recognise that Aboriginal people is a race of people that's been in this continent for 60,000 years. Some recognition of that is from my point of view, a pretty minimum thing to do. They seek some reconciliation, but they're not going to be trodden on. And though they only make up about 3% of the population, it is a significant part of the history of the continent of this country. That there is a race of people still here, and the only race in the world, the oldest race in the world, 60,000 years, and that you can't find yourself to be able to acknowledge their presence. Failure of education, failure of people who just don't like Aboriginal people, or people who are different. So I'm certainly opposed to this. I support the acknowledgements of country. I think it's a very positive thing to do.
Councillor Archer.
Look, I think here there's a little bit of a compromise in that maybe in a normal committee at an annual general meeting there is a decision made to do the acknowledgement of the country, but at every meeting, maybe not. So I think there's a situation where it's probably in a lot of groups been overused, and I've seen it used 3 or 4 times in one night at certain functions, which I consider to be overused. So it's just a matter of, I think, council working through a way that they can still be acknowledged, but it doesn't have to occur at every meeting, for example. And that might be a compromise for future groups. So I'm happy to endorse the officer recommendation that this time we don't change it, but all options are discussed in the future.
So I've got the word, what's the word when you're putting in another one? Foreshadowing a motion. Okay, cool.
I'd be happy to move the motion as the officer recommendation.
Yes, you're foreshadowing a motion. There's already a motion on the table. Does anyone else want to speak to this particular motion? Right, Councillor Councillor Andrews, beg your pardon.
I'm of the same feeling as Councillor Archer. I think that there are options for the committee in question. At the moment, they're a committee of council, and council's protocol is to have acknowledgement of country. But I would go with the officer recommendation that it's coming up for discussion and debate very soon. So I would suggest that probably the committee's got 2 options. It can either make itself an independent committee free of council and then it can do whatever it wants to, or it can just hang on a minute till this is debated again at council level and see what comes of it and put their feelings forward at that time.
Any discussion from someone who hasn't spoken yet? Councillor Terrick, do you wish to sum up?
Yes, I do. Morven Park's has the draft management agreement. Included in that is also the acknowledgement of country. Acknowledgement of country, and many people, members of that committee, have said that they will resign from the committee if they are forced to sign an agreement that has acknowledgement of country in it. Whatever one's opinion of it, they believe that it is not what they wish to sign. It's not a legally enforceable area. Councils, just neighbouring councils, whilst it's important, and I quite often will say acknowledgement of country, should I open an event? Other councils, such as Launceston City Council, don't even say at the beginning of their meetings. So it is not imperative. I think we respect the background of the 65,000 years of occupancy in our country. But we also should respect the opinions and views of others equally. We are in a democracy. I think there is further work that this council needs to do in relation to acknowledging the Aboriginal reconciliation. And some 3 years back, I moved a motion that we have a reconciliation action plan. That still has not been done. But I think we should respect everybody's view, regardless of what we think about acknowledgement of country or otherwise. And in this case, a committee of this council is asked to be exempt. And I think we should be providing and listening to what they want, not what we want.
Thank you. I will put Councillor Terrett's motion to the councillors. Those in favour? Councillor Terrett, Councillor Brooks. Those against?
No.
Myself, Councillor Adams, Councillor Goss, Councillor Lambert, Councillor Andrews and Councillor Archer. There's only 2 for. So that motion's lost. There's a foreshadowed motion now from Councillor Archer. Do I have a seconder for a foreshadowed motion, which is the officer's recommendation? Councillor Andrews. Councillor Archer, do you wish to speak to it?
Yes, I'd just like to say that I'm listening to everybody tonight, that basically the Malvern Park Management Committee, whether they like it or not, are a committee managed to some degree by council, and they have an obligation, I believe, to follow council's policy. And if they want to resign, that's very sad. But I think, as I said before, there is a compromise here where perhaps not at every meeting they have to do acknowledgement, but certainly recorded somewhere in the minutes of that group during the year, there should be an acknowledgement of the First Nations people.
Councillor Andrews.
No, I'm fine.
You're fine. Any further discussion? I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour? Aye. Against?
Yes.
Councillor Terrett's against. Councillor Brooks is not against. You're fine? Fine, okay. Motion's carried. Thank you. We're up to information items. No, he's fine. He voted for. For. Yes. Yes.
Just Councillor Chair.
Okay, movement, yes, for information items, Councillor Adams and Councillor Lambert. Any questions about information items? Councillor Archer?
I had one, there was a donation to the men's shed, $15,000. Does that mean that they now have ownership of that asset, complete ownership?
Yes, they do. Council resolved to contribute $15,000 along with, I think it was Rotary and the Parliament.
Excellent.
That's all been completed, the ownership.
Yes.
Any questions from anybody else? Okay, I'm going to put you right, Councillor Terry. No questions? I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, now we're up to 13.1. Development Services Monthly Report. Recommendation that the report be noted.
So moved.
So moved, Councillor Adams and Councillor Lambert. Any questions? Yes, absolutely, sorry. Page 84 on the paper sheets. And page, 84 on the computer as well.
It might be 77 on the paper.
Oh, sorry. I've done all this as well.
So we've done integrated priority projects and strategic
That's
plans.
the information items. And we go past planning now too.
84 now. Not 84 now.
What's the page on the computer?
On the computer, it is 84.
Someone moved yet or not?
Yes. Councillor Adams, Councillor Lambert. And now I just want to know if anyone's got any questions.
I just noticed in building approvals, last year there was a huge amount of commercial development, and this year it's dropped off quite a bit. We still seem to have the same level of development, but is this to do with TransLink filling up a bit in the previous years and perhaps development has slowed down in that area?
Towards the tail end of last financial year, there was significant TransLink development. There was a couple of big dollar value ones there, so yeah.
Anybody else got any questions? Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. 13.2 is State Planning Office consultation responses. We have a recommendation there that Council endorse the attached submission related to the following consultation matters and provide them to the State Planning Office within the relevant consultation period. A, preventing delays in development assessment timeframes, position paper, which closes on the 8th of May. And B, draft land use planning and approvals, miscellaneous amendments, Bill 2026, which closes on the 11th of May. Mover and a seconder, please, and then we can, Councillor Adams and Councillor Andrews. Councillor Adams, do you wish to speak to it?
Yes. I don't wish to speak.
Councillor Andrews? No? Anybody? Quite happy with it all? Okay. I'd like to thank the officers for an excellent report, excellent submissions, papers. They read very clearly and made a lot of sense. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. 14.1, the use of AI in local government. We have a draft recommendation. The Council endorsed the development of an organisation-wide artificial intelligence strategy to guide the responsible staged adoption of AI at the Northern Midlands Council, or B, note the emerging use of AI across local government and defer the development of an AI strategy while continuing to monitor state-level guidance and sector initiatives. Councillor Terry.
I'd like to move A.
Okay, Terry for A. And a seconder. Councillor Brooks. Councillor Terry.
Speak on this?
Yes.
Just speaking in this, I brought this to council as a motion, I noticed, and I'm quite enthusiastic of the report being brought back. As a small council, AI will assist this council in providing customer service and services to the community. It's identifying what AI is going to bring to local government, and already we've seen in Devonport where they have the chatbot, you can ring 24/7, and in Hewen is now looking at a planning module for artificial intelligence. But the number of things that can be automated is quite significant. For a small council, that's a cost saving for us. Whilst some people may say, well, it'll take away jobs, it'll actually make jobs much more interesting. And to stay ahead of that and to stay clearly where we're moving in relation to artificial intelligence and keeping abreast with what the industry, being local government, is doing, rather than sitting back and waiting, because the other motion was waiting for the emerging. I think we have to be in the forefront. One of our mission statements is innovation. And I think this is one way we can be innovative in providing services and community input. Right across Australia, we're seeing local governments, small and large, going into AI, and I think having a strategy puts us at the forefront of what will be an important part of local government in the future.
Thank you. Councillor Brooks, do you wish to speak? Councillor Goss.
Yeah, I've got foreshadow motion B. Note the emerging use of AI. I won't read it out because you know what's in there.
Thank you.
I'll just speak to the motion that's on the book. So is that my biggest concern is that the financial implications. We spoke last time in the workshop about the financial implications. Last financial year we had an operational deficit of $1.25 million. This money for AI will come out of our operational budget. We're $1.25 million in deficit last year, so it's going to increase our deficit again to where we are. We talked in the report, talks about engaging a new person to take this on. We all know that's more than $100,000 a year for add-ons and all those things they need to have as well. So I'm just really, really concerned about that. And I believe that there probably may be some development in AI, but I just think we ought to just get our operational budget in order first, and when we get that in order, then we can come back and look at these things in the future. If we had we identified at our workshop that we haven't got staff that can do that here. That means we need to put more staff. We identified in the workshop that it wasn't about cutting any staff, it was about making it better for the community. If we do that, that's going to put a big impact on our operational budget. And like last year, 1.25 million in deficit for operational budget. So when something it just doesn't work for us. We just need to do something different. So I hope I get some support for the foreshadow motion if A doesn't get up. Thank you.
Councillor Andrews.
I think that I would like to endorse A because of how carefully worded it's been by the officer. So what we're endorsing is a strategy that's going to be developed on how we handle AI and a staged adoption of AI at Northern Midlands Council. We heard in the workshop that by doing it that way, we don't get left behind. As Councillor Terrett says, we mustn't get left behind, but we do it in our own time and tailor-make what we take on. I think that this is a very wise way of going about it, of not being left behind, but of doing it in our own time, not being rushed into it to be, leaders in the field and maybe not learn from the mistakes of others. This is a good way to do it.
Councillor Archer.
I must admit I wasn't at the workshop on AI, and it's probably not my strengths, but basically, could you just explain in A what it means by endorse the development of an organisation-wide Australian intelligence strategy? What's the organisation? Is it LEGAT? Is it council?
No, this is Northern Midlands Council. So we would develop a strategy, and a lot of the strategy would be to maximise our use of what we're already paying for, like co-pilot licences and that, and we can use it a lot more. But to have a roadmap of how we should, train staff and use things more productively would assist.
Well, my next question is, why should this council spend money on doing it when I consider that probably every council is going to be doing the same thing? And surely it's a situation through LEGAT that basically a development of a strategy should come from the one group in the state that covers all councils, rather than each council spend money trying to do their own strategy. I just think at this stage I'd support more Councillor Goss's that we wait and see what other councils like Devonport, who have offered to help us here, if they come up with the ideal AI strategy, well, we won't have to spend any money on it. Basically, we'll cover it. So I'd have to say I'm against A and I'd be for B.
We have been provided with copies of strategies from Launceston, and Devonport have offered to assist as well.
Any more conversation about it, Councillor Adams?
Yes, I'll support the motion A. I think we need to have a strategy. We need to start that process. There's enormous amounts of opportunity with this and reducing workloads and allowing people to do other things. You just feed in a few things about what you want, and you can get a speech. You might have to go through it and check the stats and things, but I'm sure that within a year or two, that'll be even better than what it is. This is going to be here. I've got concerns about copyright and all those things in other things, but for our organisational structural processes that we do, and we do a lot of that as an organisation, as a council. It's about managing and having systems. This can be a great help to many of our staff. But there's no doubt there's some nasties around it as well, as with all digital stuff. So I think we need to start and we need to move down there. From a budget perspective, well, we've got to deal with that by taking money out of somewhere and putting it into this. This is the future, and the further we get behind, we won't do us any good or won't do the ratepayers any good.
Any further discussion from someone who hasn't spoken? You've had a speak, Councillor Brooks, I'm sorry. Yes, you were second.
I haven't spoken.
You seconded the motion, so you got a chance to speak second.
I haven't spoken.
You didn't speak. I
haven't spoken.
I should have offered you this chance to. Sorry. All right. Beg your pardon.
I just wanted to say, what are the, everyone's talking about the huge costs. Councillor Goss was talking about the huge costs. What sort of costs are we likely to incur? And what are they for?
Obviously, for example, it's licensing costs for different programs. Not all of them are free, and it just depends. And at the workshop, we did a demonstration of the chatbot and the customer service thing at the workshop, and there was a cost to that, and it's something, it ranges on how much you use, but it could be anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 a year. So yeah, everything you use, you have licenses for, or it depends on whether you develop it in-house or whether you're getting consultants to develop these things. So.
But is there a professional co-pilot? Because you'd find most people in this organisation would either use co-pilot now or ChatGTP. Now, that's free of charge, but is there a professional one that you have to pay for to make it better? I'm not sure. I've never used a professional one, but...
Yeah, well, the council restricts people from using anything else but Copilot, just because of security reasons. And yes, there is a licence fee.
Councillor Lambert.
I think we just need to remember here that what the recommendation is to develop a draft organisational roadmap. And that's for us to then be in control of. We're not in control of anything at the moment in terms of AI. We have a chat here and a little bit of knowledge there, but we are not in control of it as an overall body. We're in control of how much money we choose to spend or not spend, but until we know what those strategic parameters are, we're just talking in the dark. So I will support the motion because I want to see what the strategy comes back with. And then the next step for us as council is to decide whether we adopt that strategy or parts of that strategy or rework parts of it. So I would be keen to see what comes back from that.
Do you wish to sum up, Councillor Terry?
Just very quickly. It's important for us to be in the tent and talking to other councils about AI. If we leave it just to wait to what LGAT is going to do, we'll be still waiting sometime down the track, unfortunately, because 29 councils look at things on 29 different levels. We've got to, in some respects, look nationally and beyond. There is some exciting stuff being done with AI and learnings which we've had. I learned at a recent conference that West Tamar was doing their strategic planning using AI. So they're all some of the things we can do. And by having a strategy, coming back to council, AI will save us money in the long term because it means we can do things better. Even if we budget money, we have to put money into the budget for AI, that'll ultimately return services to the community and make, in the long term, hopefully savings for council.
Thank you. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Councillor Goss and Councillor Archer against. Everybody else is in favour. The motion's carried. 14.2, the variation of appointments, Municipal Management Coordinator and Deputies. And we have a recommendation there that Council endorse the nomination of Marie Bricknell, Acting General Manager, as the Northern Midlands Council Municipal Emergency Management Coordinator, so that's the Municipal Coordinator, and Lee McCullough, Works Manager, as the Northern Midlands Council's Deputy Municipal Emergency Management Coordinator for a period of 4 years. Councillor Andrews is moving, Councillor Adams is seconding. Councillor Andrews.
I'll move this as long as the Works Manager is the person who carries us all out of the burning building.
That's it, you've had your say?
Yes.
Okay, Councillor Adams.
We are a council area that sometimes has emergencies, not always fire, but all that water that ends up in the southwest just here and comes past us can cause us some real difficulties. So That's why we've got a generator out there. And some parts of this town of Longford have never been under. Thank God I live in one of those areas, but there is some tough stuff out there. And we need to have this updated and ready to go. And two good people to be able to do that for the council officers' point of view.
Any further discussion? I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Monthly financial report, 15.1. Recommendation that council receive and note the monthly financial report for the period ending the 31st of March 2026 and authorise budget 2025-26 alterations as listed in item 4. I have a mover and a seconder, then you can ask questions. Councillor Archer and Councillor Brooks. Councillor Archer, do you still to speak?
No, I haven't anything to say.
Councillor Brooks? Any question?
Can I just
Yes,
say,
absolutely.
there's no changes in item 4, so.
Oh, we don't have to worry about item 4, okay. Right. No further queries, I'll put the recommendation, all those, oh, yes, you can, absolutely.
Once the waste transfer station fees are in here, I just wondered how things are progressing at Longford with the weighbridge intact, whether that's improved our revenue at Longford, or whether we're below revenue at Longford.
Oh, well, I understand some people get a little bit of a shock when they go there, but it's too early to say how much extra revenue will be received because of the weighbridge.
No.
But all I can say is it's very fair, so people with the light load pay less than people with a heavy load.
Councillor Brooks.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Next meeting, can we have a bit of a report on just how it's going for revenue compared to the same time last year with revenue?
We've been had for the month, yes.
Yeah, for the month, that'd be.
It's only been going a few days, a week or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was there.
6 months.
Councillor Brooks.
And I think that's the bottom line, what the General Manager said about being fair. All the complaints that councillors would have had over the years was, you'd go in there one day and it'd be $12 for a trail load, you'd go in there the next and it'd be 20.
Yep.
So it does bring a fair and equitable price. You know what you're going to pay. I don't think it's a ridiculous price. I've been using it at Launceston City Council for a while, and I believe it's cheap. I reckon it'll solve a lot of disharmony up at the tip, and
And we'll just let everybody know we will be having an opening up there in the next 2 or 3 weeks, so invite everybody to come along. Have a look.
Rubbish with us, do we?
No, just have a look at the new facilities and the new systems, and how it's working.
Councillor Lambert first.
I think it's really good also that we've got the tip shop up and running now as well. I think that's a fantastic initiative, and I hope people are supporting that. And I think the word's starting to get out about it now, so that's a really good initiative. So,
Councillor Adams.
I think this works in that where the world's going with rubbish is that people are going to pay for the rubbish, and when that starts to get pressure on those that make packaging and the recycling, paying the bottles, we've got the machines up and around. We haven't got one in Longford. I think our district committee is looking at that if they can do anything. But these are things that are not going the other way. They're going to go forward, and the price will continue to rise until people are paying for what it costs to get rid of the rubbish.
Any further discussion before Councillor Archer sums up? Councillor Archer.
Oh, yeah, in regards to waste, I think the solution here is that people are prepared to separate. Obviously leave things at the tip shop, reuse rocks or whatever, which are obviously very heavy, but if we can convince the people to separate the rubbish and things, that will be very good for everybody in the environment. But I would suggest that, yes, a review of the council total costs of operation are essential after a year, because it's a big thing for the council to take it on again, and hopefully it's successful. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 16.1, Campbelltown additional electric vehicle charging. As a recommendation that council approve the upgrade and expansion of the EV charging infrastructure at 3 Commonwealth Lane, Campbelltown, as proposed by EV Networks, and proceed to finalise a lease variation to include the following variations. 1, expansion of the current leased area to allow for 4 additional bays, and 2, increase the annual rental per bay to be $3,000, subject to annual increase of 3% for the length of the agreement. 3, compensation paid to council from EV Networks of $4,000 per new lost car parking space. And C, allow commencement of works from the 1st of July, or reject the proposal by EV Networks. A mover and a seconder, please, for one of those. Councillor Goss?
I'd like to reject the proposal.
Reject. Is there a seconder to reject? Councillor Brooks has left the room, but I don't think he has an interest.
No,
He should
just had a short break.
Yes.
The recommendation.
Oh, well, we'll just, to be fair, do we need to wait for Councillor Brooks to come back? I don't know. I don't think we do. Okay. For lack of a seconder, that motion fails. Councillor Adams is moving the other motion. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Andrews? Councillor Adams, do you wish to speak to it?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Well, I think the last 2 or 3 weeks have showed us that electric vehicles will continue to grow and probably grow much faster. And the infrastructure is one of the big issues that we have to deal with by getting enough infrastructure there. I saw an article, program just recently on the trucks. They're moving from Sydney to Canberra and Canberra to Melbourne now, and they've got big enough systems to make that happen. So it's the technologies that are changing and getting better all the time. So I think we need to do that. There's a lot of people travelling now. I think we get paid for this. This is not a freebie. We get paid as a council making areas available. We're looking at other areas to improve parking down there, but I think this is a very good concept and ideas, and we're getting some coin out of it to help us look at paying for some of the parking in other areas. If we can pull off the fire station concept, that'll be even better.
Councillor Andrews.
I would say that there's been the demand at Campbelltown for extension of the number of charging stations for quite some time. So this meets this, and it's done in a way that council's the winner, as Councillor Adams says. We get paid for it, so it's a win-win, really.
Councillor Terrett.
I think it's, I'm certainly supportive of this motion. But one thing I have noticed with some EV parking is people park their cars there even though they're not charging. And sometimes that they're not even EV parkings. And I wonder if there is an offence or whether there is a need to put an offence for people parking in EV charging areas as well, because this will impact this particular parking lot, particularly on weekends, where people can't find parking and go down and park in those lots. And people get very frustrated when you want your car to be charged and there's cars in each of those spots not being charged. And I just think it's something that I wanted to raise. I'm just happy to hear anything.
Well, I'll probably pass that on to our works manager.
I think it's back on EV to monitoring. It's not something we haven't got parking officers anyway, or anyone can do compliance with that. So it's back on them. As I've seen on the mainland before, people putting false connections on the back of the car and putting a plug in, not on petrol vehicles. So you can actually do dodgy stuff to get away with it. So,
how far do you go?
So it does happen. No, I think it's back on them. And I think part of it, they'll have proper signage there, I would think.
Any further discussion? Councillor Goss.
Yeah, I'm going to vote against this because Campbelltown parking in the main street has been the biggest issue we've had for the last, I don't know, weeks and weeks and months we have. And here we are, we're taking 4 more parking places away from the Campbelltown people, and I think that's the wrong thing to do. I know we need charging stations for EVs, but I think there's the EV companies, the charging companies, they should be looking for not council car parks, which are already ready-made. They should be made to make their own car parks. There's land available in Campbelltown, which they could take over and they could put their own parks on, but they want to come along and take council's ones which have already been done, the road's been built, the car park's been sealed, everything's been done, and they just walk in and take it over, and no one else can use them. In this car park at the moment, there's 2 places at the moment, and this will mean that there's 6 places there. I don't know how many car parks there are in that little Commonwealth Lane car park, but there's not that many. Will they come back next year and want 6 more? That'll be true. Will this become a total EV car parking spot so no one else can park there? I think we need to look at get them to get some ground on private property to use that. I'm not sure whether the petrol station next door, it's got a great big area. People are using less petrol. Why don't they put in charging parks for cars in petrol stations? Be a great place. They've got in-roads, out-roads, plenty of area to go, plenty of power. I think it'd be really positive. By us giving them up council land, council car parks, then we make it easy for the electric charging companies. And I think we need to not support this motion, but go back to the company and say, can you please look for some private land somewhere else in the town and use that? Because that's where we go. Otherwise, we can get more pressure next year to get more EV spots in this car park. Thank you.
Councillor Brooks.
I think you've got to look at the big picture, why they're charging up their cars. They're spending money in the local businesses in Campbelltown, because it does take considerable time to charge an EV vehicle. So it is good for the town. They're not just blowing in using the toilet like most people do. Go down there and go to the toilet and off they go. They're actually spending money in the community. So I do believe that it is a good thing for Campbelltown. Given the fuel prices aren't going to be easing in the near future, there's a lot more EV cars getting around the roads. EV sales are going through the roof. So yes, I think it is a good need for another charger in there, and I reckon it'd be good for the town.
Councillor Lambert.
Thank you. I think they did community consultation, and there were 16 people, I think, attended that community consultation. So I don't know what that says about the Campbelltown communities. Perhaps they think it's a great idea. But the simple facts are we are moving into an EV world, and people are screaming out for EV charging stations. And people are saying, oh, we're not quite there yet with the technology. We haven't got enough stations to get us from A to B. Well, this is helping to address that. We've already got 2 there. This is going to expand it. Yes, and I do agree, it is really unfortunate that we are going to be losing those car spaces. It's really unfortunate. But I believe in the consultation that that wasn't brought up as a particularly big issue. So I also just want to make mention that we've just passed a motion for the Campbelltown Streetscape, where one of those dot points was to look into the fire station for potentially purchasing that for new parking opportunities. There were other opportunities for excess and new parking and more parking in other areas in Campbelltown. So the council is very conscious of that. We are trying to look for options and ways to address parking. So I think we're trying to address that. The community's screaming out for this infrastructure. And I know there are other communities like the Longport community that are also screaming out for this type of infrastructure to come to their town. So it's a wanted and needed thing to help build that connectivity of charging stations throughout our community and throughout our state. So I think, even though, yes, I agree, it's really sad we're losing those car spots, I think it's a good thing that we are expanding the EV stations, and maybe we could get Longford community to have a chat to EV and see whether they can get them to come on board in their community as well. I think this will lead to other conversations with other communities, so I'll support it.
Thank you. Councillor Adams, would you like to sum up?
Thank you. Yes, I think Longford, down at the IGA in the back car park, there's going to be, I don't know if it's there yet.
Oh, no, there's
Two
two.
there now. And I'm sure that the future is that you've got to look at the big picture in these things. These are going to be the future. Petrochemicals, if you haven't looked at the news in the last few weeks to understand some of the politics around those things as well, you're living in cuckoo land. So we've got to look big. If people charging their cars, they want toilets and they want food and coffee and drinks and whatever. So the traders do okay. So they're essential to have, and if you don't have them in your town, you're going to miss out. And that's the future. You just got to deal with these issues that need to be dealt with, and this needs to be dealt with. If this whole car park becomes for charging electric cars, then we should get enough money to build other car parks. I mean, those are the processes that go on. We've got to be rational about it and endeavour to look to the future. And this is an opportunity to do that.
Thank you. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Those against?
Aye.
Councillor Goss is against. Nobody else? Motion's carried. 16.2 proposed speed limit reduction, Hobart Road, Kerry Lodge Bridge to the Youngtown municipal boundary, 80 kilometres down to 70. And there's a recommendation that council endorse the reduction of the speed limit on Hobart Road from 80 kilometres an hour to 70 kilometres an hour between Kerry Lodge Bridge and the Youngtown municipal boundary, and B, notify the Department of State Growth of its decision and request the issuing of formal approval for the proposed speed limit reduction. So it didn't make sense. Councillor Adams is moving. I have a seconder. Councillor Terrett seconding. Councillor Adams.
I see I moved the original motion, asking it to go to 80. We've got halfway, so, got to compromise. The department's come good. It does it very often, so I'm pleased that that's doing it. I think it'll help the pedestrian and bike traffic in this area as well, and so it's a positive thing, so, yeah.
Councillor Terrett.
Yeah, I think we have to be mindful of the hopefully totally completed shared pathway eventually, and to start getting people used to going slower along that road is important. I often use that road to go into town, and some people go way beyond 80. So reducing that, and especially if from Kerry Lodge Bridge, which, if you're trying to get across Kerry Lodge Bridge and you've got cars zooming past you, it can be quite dangerous. I know it is from beyond Kerry Lodge Bridge, but I think we also have to start making arrangements for the shared pathway. There's been excellent work done on the first section. I'll be very keen to see that whole section done, because I think in itself, cyclists, walkers will be using that area, and hopefully in a safe manner with a lower speed limit.
Councillor Andrews.
Can I just ask a question to be very clear on what I'm voting on? We're talking about reducing the speed limit from the Spiky Bridge to Youngtown,
yes,
not the other way.
Yes, that's right. Correct. Where we're putting the shared pathway.
Well, we're putting a shared pathway eventually.
Eventually,
right?
But where we're doing it now.
We're talking from the Spiky Bridge back to Youngtown.
Yes.
What department is it? It's still the same department, is it?
State growth, yes, still.
At the moment. And Councillor Lambert.
I'll support this only because the pathway is going through, and I think we will need to look at reducing speed around that when it's up and operational. However, it's really silly that it can go down to 60, because I think that's probably a safer speed at that section of road. And I know there's a couple of businesses there that were quite concerned about the speed up through there as well. So I'll support it, but I'm glad it's only from the Spiky Bridge through to Youngtown as well. Otherwise.
Any further discussion? No? Okay, I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Councillor Goss is against. Nobody else? No? Page 2, please. Page 2, please. Yes. Motion's carried. 16.3, reallocation of funding, Old Bridge Road toilet upgrades to Napoleon Street park toilet. Recommendation is that council reallocate funding from the Old Bridge toilet facility in the Charles Berryman Reserve to the Napoleon Street park toilet facility at Perth. Yeah, mover and a seconder.
I'll move.
Councillor Archer and Councillor Lambert. Councillor Archer, do you wish to speak to it?
I think, yes, the map shows that basically the spread of the toilet facility, it's got to be a toilet for every 100 metres apparently, but anyway,
People get caught short.
the eastern side seems to be missing out, and I have been to the Charles Berryman toilets, and I wouldn't say it's the dead end of Perth, but I think there's a fair bit of work needed to upgrade them, and probably Napoleon Street is probably the way of the future. So.
Councillor Lambert.
Yes. Thank you. Look, I don't like it when we take something from one and give it to another. However, I think in this case, since I've been on council and before, there has been an outcry in that end of that area of Perth to have some kind of facilities. And it's just never quite got there. And all of a sudden now we have a park, a beautiful park being developed, and part of that park was originally to have a toilet anyway, and that didn't get up for the first stage of it. A lot of people in Perth were saying, well, that's a little bit silly. We need to have a toilet facility there as well. Otherwise, there is nowhere else in that part of Perth. So I know the people who live there will be very pleased to see that facility up and running. However, there is another issue in regard to, and I think Councillor Terrett brought it up, about the showers. And I'm very, very keen to see some showers facilities put into our communities, as you know. So I think, and I think Councillor Archer might have mentioned it as well in the workshop, that we perhaps need to look at, because I think that was flagged to go into the Berryman toilets as well. We need to have a really good look in our community in Perth there about where we can allocate some shower facilities for people that are doing it a bit tough and might need it. So as long as that's still going to happen, that we're going to look at another option for that, I will be happy to second that money going over to the park at Napoleon Street there, because I think it is very well needed there, and I know the community will be very happy. But as I said, it's awkward when you start taking one thing off part of the community and giving it to another. But I'm just wondering if I can get some information from the officers about what the plan will be moving forward in regards to the shower allocations and what we might do there, because that was part of that plan.
Obviously, we will just need to investigate where we can put a shower and where's the best place to put a shower, either at the train park, the Taliska Street toilets, or back at Charles Berryman Reserve. But so if council reallocate the allowance to Napoleon Street, then we'll have to look in the next year's budget of where we can put a shower facility.
And can I just ask a question as well then? So that's okay. In regards to the Berryman facility, will that now be put back into the next budget, the following budget for upgrades? So if we're taking the money at the moment, giving it to the Napoleon toilets, are we also going to be looking at upgrading them in the future?
No, that's not the intention. It's to transfer that $100,000 allocation to Napoleon Street, because and leave the Charles Berryman Reserve toilets amenities in the same condition, which is what the report's saying is not too bad. But then we will need to look at where we put a shower facility in the town. It's a public shower.
The public shower will go into the next budget.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Councillor Terrett.
I'm speaking against, going against this. Whilst I don't disagree with Napoleon Street, the houses are yet to be built in those areas. The park hasn't been built or completed, and we still don't know what type of usage is going there. Charles Berryman Reserve and the refurbishment has been on our budget for over 2 years, and yet no action has been taken on that. council has made the resolutions in previous budgets to do this work, and suddenly, for no reason other than to build a brand new toilet elsewhere in the Perth area, this will not be upgraded. And this particular toilet is used not just by residents, but a lot of people who travel on the Midland Highway. And there's a sign on the Midland Highway to turn off and use that toilet. It's often a point that if you've been on the Midland Highway, you look for the first available toilet and people go there. I'm not against doing Napoleon Street, but I'm also not against doing the refurbishment, and I think both need to be done. I think it's a bit throwing the baby out with the bathwater at this stage, because both of them are important for Perth and the Perth community, and also for people travelling through Perth. I would like to see, if this motion does get up, that certainly the refurbishment is put in a future budget. It should not be ignored. The state of the toilet, whilst it's saying it's fine, is certainly not up to the standards of many of our toilets, and we actually do a very good job in relation to building toilets. But it is something that's needed by the community and by those travelling through the community. And just to say that there's not a lot of houses down that end, it's ignoring the fact that lots of other people do use those toilets.
Councillor Goss.
I've just got a question for the Works Officer. If you walk along the riverfront, can you walk to the Birmingham toilets? Is that what they're called, Birmingham toilets? No. To access along the riverfront to the Birmingham toilet, you've got to walk around the road. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councillor Adams?
Yes, I believe that there's a need for a toilet on the western side of Perth, and I believe this concept is a good one. And the history of having the highway through the town is gone now, and we need to look at Perth in another way. And we've got Perth set up to have a walking tracks around Perth and through the park where Yule Main Road was. So there's a lot of reasons why we should do that. And if we lose a toilet down there, we've still got two others, very close facility, with the one behind the shops, which I would think would be really lend itself to a shower, or up at the train park. They're both pretty good toilets. I mean, the train park is a very good facility. So I think you can't keep, you want to rationalise the cost of this. And I think we can do that.
Councillor Archer, did you wish to sum up?
Well, I'll just say, obviously, the one Charles Berryman isn't being demolished. It's just going to be not get probably a fancy upgrade, so it'll still be there and useful. I'm sure the council staff will keep it adequate. So we're looking at a new facility, and there's nothing to say in the future budget that we can't upgrade Charles Berryman. Obviously, it wouldn't have moved this motion if Charles Berryman was going to be demolished. So I think we've got to be rational here that the growth area of Perth, there are extensive houses in that area, and the subdivision is moving very fast. And potentially we'll have to build another toilet further south if Perth keeps on growing. So it's an ongoing process at Perth. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Councillor Terrett's against. That's the only one against. Motion's carried. We've done 16.4, so we're moving into closed council now. Yes.